like to talk to you today about what the typical penalties are for a first-time case where you blow over the legal limit. That is, you blow 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters or above. Parliament fairly recently, in 2018, in fact, brought in new laws about this with new mandatory minimums. So if your readings are between 80 to just below 120, you're facing a mandatory minimum fine of $1,000, first of all. Okay. Now, if your readings are 120 to just below 160, say 159, you're facing a fine of $1,500. That's a mandatory minimum. That's the minimum. It could be higher than that you face. And finally, if your readings are 160 or above, you're facing a $2,000 mandatory minimum fine. Now, if there's aggravating features in your case, you could be facing higher fines. For example, if there's children in your car, as I reviewed in a previous video, or you're on an accident on the 401, even on a first offense, if there's no injuries, you could face a short jail term or higher fines, as an example. Now, typically on a very first time offense, you're going to face the mandatory minimum 1 year driving prohibition. And the ministry is going to take your license for the same 1 year. I cover stream A ignition interlock in another video, which I encourage you to watch. So those are your typical penalties. The victim fine surcharge is 30% of the fines. On top of that, if you can show financial hardship to the judge in their discretion can agree to eliminate the victim fine surcharge. But those are the typical penalties for a garden variety DUI where there's no injuries, non-aggravated situation. You hopefully can have your lawyer at least negotiate the minimums. But as I mentioned, if it's a more serious situation, you may face higher fines or even a short jail term if it's really serious, like having a child in the car or that accident situation on the 401.